a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. So glad you can join us here. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. And we got a great lineup for you today. We're going to get a legislative session update directly from Tallahassee with State Representative Berny Jacques, one of our favorites here, going to be on the phone here with just a moment. We're going to talk business and commercial capital as well with Andrew QB and Shane Socash as well. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin. Got a great lineup for you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to invite you to our next event as well over at Brio Tuscan Grill. That's the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brio Tuscan Grill at the International Plaza Mall. Save the date. It's our third Thursday gratitude party event, and it's a series that we're hosting. So every third Thursday of the month, you can expect to see us over at Brio Tuscan Grill. Come on over for a great hour or two of fellowship. We're going to have some great networking there. Our radio show partners, expert contributors from the show, clients, and you're all invited to come on out. All of our listening audience, come on out and join us as well. Thursday, March 21st, 6 o'clock, over at Brio Tuscan Grill at the International Plaza Mall. Excellent food, wonderful ambiance. We're going to have appetizers provided, and of course, there's a cash bar available to you as well. So we'll see you on the Thursday, the 21st, over at Brio. It's a free event. Come on out. Third Thursday of every month, part of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, combined with our Real Estate Quarterback Show lineup. So we hope to see you there. And please support Brio Tuscan Grill. That's the official restaurant partner. Fresh from scratch, Tuscan-inspired recipes. Salmon fresca is one of the most favorite and one of my most favorite item there as well. Brio Tuscan Grill, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we always feature our real estate listings live on air. It's part of our strategy to help sellers sell faster for more money, maximizing the exposure. And this one is for one of our P1 listeners here, great couple over at 5642 Egrets Place and NPR. That's Newport Richey, Florida. 5642 Egrets Place, beautiful property, one of my favorite listings. It's got a gorgeous pool, that wonderful Mediterranean palace. It's a Mediterranean palace look, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2,967 square feet, just under a quarter-acre lot. You have balconies all over the place. A beautiful home here. Heated pool with a waterfall, elevator access from the garage. So you got that elevator going up as well. 2 sets of sliders. You have a laundry room located on the first floor. 2 additional guest bathrooms or bedrooms, both with full en-suites, that is. Primary suite has an ensuite, luxury tub, walk-in shower, walk-in closet, gourmet kitchen, featuring a beautiful center island with a sink and a wine refrigerator. Too many upgrades to list here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, but the community also has amenities: waterfront clubhouse, heated pool, lighted tennis courts. Great opportunity to own real estate. 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, and we've got lots of open houses going on as well. If you want to stop by and see it, schedule your private showing or come to the open house and check out the beautiful photography, compliments of Fabre Frameworks, gated community, gorgeous property at 5642 Egrets Place, Newport Richey, Florida. All right, we got another beach property here. Have you ever wanted to own your own beachfront? This is it. Beachfront home, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F. This one is in Indian Shores, 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2,000 square feet, beachfront condo. And you literally walk out the door, you walk past your heated pool, private heated pool, and you're on the beach. You're on the sugar sand beaches, dolphin-filled waters of Indian Shores. That's Pinellas County. Of course, that's close to all of the fun attractions there as well. You look out to the balcony, you look to the right, you're looking at the Intercoastal Waterway, Tom Stewart Causeway, you got the beaches on the left, and this is a gorgeous property. Very low HOA fee of only $250 per month, and this is a $1 million listing on the beach. Beautiful property. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Yeah, I'm raising my glass to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, we got State Rep Berny Jacques back on the show. Bernie, thank you so much for joining us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Hey, Brandon, it's good to be back.
Yes, sir. All right, so you guys have been working hard up there, and I like some of these bills that you had passed along to me. Where do you want to start at, sir?
Well, it's been a great session. We just ended on March 8th, the 60-day legislative session, and we're very proud of what we accomplished as an office, but overall as a legislature, continuing the trend of keeping Florida free. And we sponsored a number of bills. In fact, we got 7 bills passed across the finish line, everything dealing from law and order to stopping woke indoctrination and supporting families. And I can list some of them, with you now, but one of them was a bill dealing with the Department of Corrections, where we empowered the Office of Inspector General to investigate and make all types of arrests within our prisons. So to maintain law and order in our prisons is a top priority for the Department of Corrections. And so we gave them additional tools to do just that. And we also did a bill on education preparation programs. So last session and sessions before, we've taken on woke indoctrination in our schools. And we've emphasized we want education and not indoctrination. But one of the gaps that we were finding is that although we're stopping the students from learning about or being indoctrinated about some of these things, the teachers, once they're getting trained, educated, doing their continuing education courses, they're getting that indoctrination garbage on CRT and all the woke stuff. And so we're filling in the gap by saying a teacher's education course also cannot be filled with indoctrination. And so that passed as well. We did a bill on juvenile justice that cracked down on juvenile gun crimes. We did a bill on pretrial detention hearings that allows the court to hold dangerous criminals without bail and give them additional tools to be able to do that. And we did a couple bills on illegal immigration. So one of them was on identification documents. You had a lot of communities, not a lot, you had some liberal jurisdictions here in the state of Florida that would accept IDs that are basically issued to illegal aliens. This is prevalent in other parts of the country, but we did have some spots here in Florida. And so we basically made it very clear that a local government, no governmental entity cannot accept community IDs if they know them to be issued to illegal aliens. And so this is a great way to mitigate the flow of illegal migration, invasion, quite frankly, into our state by taking away one more incentive. And then the other bill that we did was reclassification of criminal penalties. So this targets criminal illegal aliens. These are individuals who had been deported before and made their way back across the border and had been convicted of illegal reentry and then commit other crimes here in the state of Florida. So it's basically a 3 strikes rule. So if they had been deported, been found to have re-entered, and then commit another crime, we will upgrade the penalties for whatever the offense that they committed here in the state of Florida to send a strong message that criminal illegal aliens are not welcome.
Man, I wish we had more leadership like that in the national government, or right now, because you think about the number one threat to America right now is, as much as the left wants to say it's something else, it's these illegals flowing into our country, and the left's refusal to call them illegals. We saw the apologizing tour that Biden went on, and that was prevalent throughout the leftist mainstream media, just for simply calling that person that killed Laken Riley an illegal, which is a proper description because they broke the law to come in the country, didn't they, Bernie?
I agree. The law is the law. They enter the country illegally, so they're an illegal alien. And the fact that the president had to walk it back after he never really says, the correct things. He finally did by calling this guy an illegal alien. And of course, the left jumped on him and the media got him to apologize and walk it back to the point where he apologized to the illegal alien who is now being held for this murder. He apologized to him before he apologized to the family of Laken Riley. Yeah. It is despicable. It is appalling. And it's what we've come to expect now from this regime. This Biden regime has had a disdain, it seems, for the American people, while uplifting those who break our laws by entering our country illegally, giving them free money, free bus passes, free everything, while Americans here are suffering. This is this was disgusting to see him do that. But that's what we're dealing with, and hopefully we can get leadership back into that White House.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking with Representative Berny Jacques here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and we're talking about the recent legislative session in the state of Florida. A lot of the great bills that were passed with a lot of Bernie's help and his colleagues, identity politics, ones against identity politics, juvenile justice, pregnancy and parenting resources, amongst many others. I want to stay on this topic of illegal aliens right now, because when you think about, when you look at, I just happened upon the 13 Hours movie, the Benghazi failed Hillary Clinton debacle that happened years ago. But I can't help but think about the similarities between there and what's happening here, or what could potentially happen here, Bernie. When you think about the ability to utilize apps and TikTok and some of these other technologies, and they're giving them all cell phones, they could easily start organizing and attacking and become the left's new Antifa, or the enforcement arm of the left. Is there any talks about that in government right now, like in preparations of these types of extreme black swan events?
Well, it's concerning, right? And when you have an open border and then you marry that with some of the technological tools that are now available via social media, it definitely makes for a concerning situation. And so this is why it's imperative. It's so imperative to seal that border, to get serious about our immigration laws, and to also monitor the advancements that we're seeing, whether it's AI or social media and so forth, to make sure that they are not weaponized on the American people. One of the things that we've been working on here in the state of Florida is looking into the uses of social media. We're looking into, especially when it comes to it being a conduit to criminal behavior. We're looking into ways to be even more of a law and order state. Florida is known for being a law and order state. In fact, we're experiencing a 50-year low in crime. And it's one of the reasons why people are flocking down here. When you talk to people from these northern cities, one of the reasons that they tell you is, we have to get away from the crime. And they know that Florida, our government here, will back them up, our local law enforcement will back them up and enforce the law if something like that were to occur, and they have the assurance that they're not going to be left defenseless. And we also know that Florida respects our citizens' right to keep and bear arms in order to protect themselves against any kind of tyranny. This is something that we do value here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And to be able to have that Second Amendment, and it seems like anytime there's some type of a situation where guns are involved, they want to call it a mass shooting, even if it's just down here in Ybor. They called that a mass shooting. It was two, basic from what I gathered, it was two rival gangs or, teenagers getting out of hand, and they pull out guns instead of fist fighting like they used to do back in the day. But they look for a reason to try to villainize the gun, the inanimate object, and they want to make it where it's the gun's fault. But
and Brandon, that's a great point, because my bill addressed the exact point that you just made, right? Whenever you have criminal thugs, they're committing violence using a tool, right? These are violent people, in some cases just straight up evil people, just using a tool, like you said, an inanimate object. They want to attack the gun, and say it's a mass shooting. The gun is the evil one, and they completely absolve the criminal who is engaging in that action. My bill that addressed specifically juvenile gun crimes, because we have been seeing a spike in these juvenile gangs. And like you said, instead of fist fighting, they're just pulling out illegal firearms and they're shooting at each other. My juvenile justice bill, addressed that and went towards cracking down on that. And wouldn't you believe it, in my own chamber in the House, most of the Democrats fought me tooth and nail for bringing accountability to juveniles who are committing gun crimes. And these are the same people who are always talking about gun violence, this or that. They hate the gun, but it seems like they love the criminal. Yeah. And then when we tried to tackle on the criminal, they were resisting at every stop, at every committee stop, and even on the floor, saying this goes too far. But luckily, we got it passed, and I look forward to the governor signing it.
Yeah, and that's just a strategy that these gangs use, these nefarious actors. They use that strategy. They send the 14, 15-year-old in there because they understand that they're going to be dealt with in a lighter manner. I think that's a whole strategy.
Exactly. It's a slap on the wrist. They'll be right out. They'll be out back on the streets before the officer finishes the paperwork.
Exactly.
And in a lot of cases. And so you're right. It's a strategy. We're filling in that loophole. And to make sure to crack down on crime and to make sure that Florida remains a safe place.
State Rep Berny Jacques here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Taking a quick break. We're going to come back. More updates on this legislative session happening here in Florida. And also, we got some of our great expert contributors coming up as well. We're going to talk business, capital, commercial. Also, cool stat of the week. Find out about this stat of the week. Over half of all jobs driving the U.S. economy will be significantly impacted. And you might be surprised which ones those are. More coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite, sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here in studio. We got Representative Berny Jacques on the line upstate from the Florida legislative session. Update from Representative Jacques here coming up in just a moment. Before we do, a couple of hot listings. We'd like to feature our real estate properties. Part of our strategy to help our team sell faster for more money, maximum exposure, maximum profit. 5930 River Road, Newport Richey. This is a waterfront beauty. We've got a property right on the Cody River, 80 feet of frontage, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. You have 2,000 square feet, over half-acre lot. 5930 River Road, Newport Richey. Beautiful property, and too many upgrades to go through right here. But bring your jet skis, bring your boat, and enjoy that Florida lifestyle to the fullest. 5930 River Road, Newport Richey. 80 feet of water frontage on the Cody River. Access to the Gulf of Mexico. Fireplace, stone mantle, and just beautiful, beautiful property. You can see all of our real estate properties at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, Bernie. So I was enjoying the Pinellas County beaches this weekend, and I couldn't help it. But I was on the beach. I was at a condo beachfront, and went over with the family and we're hanging out. I just kind of snapped a picture as I was thinking about it. But I had to get in I was hanging out in the pool, got my little boy swimming around, and I've jumped into the hot tub. I saw a guy there that had a Navy shirt on. I said, I got to talk to him about the Navy because I almost played football. I had a full ride opportunity to play quarterback for the Naval Academy. Turned it down to play at the University of South Florida instead. Long story short, ended up talking politics. Somehow I always tend to get into these political conversations just because it's so important. And somehow we stumbled up on different topics. And, it just reminds me, here's a Navy guy. He was an older gentleman. He was probably in his 70s, maybe 80s, because he had kind of hearing aids in. You could tell. Just a nicer older man, but totally swayed to the left. His whole paradigm was Trump was a rapist, and he was. And I said, I just asked questions. I said, well, I wonder where do you hear this? Where do you get your news? It was CNN and MSNBC. And I said, well, don't you think about to consider the other side of these conversations and how I said, by the way, didn't Clinton have 3 or 4 Bill Clinton, who ended up on Epstein Island, he have 3 or 4 accusers and rushing to judgment on these things. But it's just funny though, because that's how our country is divided, is because you have one side of the aisle hearing news from some of these, and I said, these are multinational corporations, these news organizations, these CNNs, these MSNBCs, they're connected to China. These are multinational. So anyways, it was just kind of an interesting story. I just wanted to get kind of your take and opinion on that.
Yeah, that's definitely happening right now in our country, where you have the legacy media, the corporate media is definitely brainwashing Americans to be predisposed to hate anything that is on the right? Anything that is conservative, definitely anything involving Trump has to be labeled as evil. And you're seeing a lot of Americans are falling for this, and it's informing and it's informing the way that they vote, and it's informing the way that they behave towards, other Americans. And I think that's part of the plan. I think that's part of the purpose, is to divide us, to keep us at each other's throats.
Yep.
And the truth be darned, they don't care. They're going to go full steam ahead, and that is the characteristic of the woke left, the cultural Marxism. They're playing for keeps, and they will use media, basically propaganda arms now of the regime out of Washington, to condition Americans to be divided. It's sad.
Yeah, fake dossiers. I mean, you hear it over and over. I just heard of another one on War Room the other day. It was another fake dossier comes out, and then of course the Times prints it, and then they the SEALs and the SEAL teams out there, so, they're cheerleading it on. They just make up these stories and then perpetuate that through all the different talking points of the media. And then you got influential people that just don't have either the time or the wherewithal to research both sides of the story, and then they jump to this conclusion that Trump's a rapist, he's a bad person, we can't elect him.
Right. Yeah, you're spot on. That's exactly what they're doing. They're all in cahoots. We saw with the Russia hoax, that was definitely based on a fake, made up dossier bought and paid for by the Clinton campaign. You saw what they did when they censored and hid the Hunter Biden laptop story during the 2020 presidential election. And to the point where, that story, imagine this, Brandon, reported by the New York Post, one of the oldest publications in this country. And they were locked out of their own Twitter page, because they posted and they broke this story.
Unbelievable.
And so a lot of American voters were totally unaware of it. And the ones who were aware of it, again, the corporate media fed them the lie that said it was Russian disinformation.
Yep.
And you saw a poll after the election was taken from swing voters. These are voters that could have gone either way. And a strong amount, a strong percentage said it would have changed the way they voted if they knew about the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Yep,
but the media hid it, and they're complicit, and it's just wrong.
Bernie, how can they connect with you? Bernie for Florida, if I recall?
That's right, Berny4Florida.com. That's Bernie with a Y, FOR Florida.com. Keep up with what we're doing.
All right, buddy. Keep up the good work out there.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Bernie. All right, taking a quick break. Coming back, Andrew QB, U.S. Commercial and Business Capital, and more great content from the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show.